Right. If they give you a subpoena and they subpoena you to court, you have to go. If you don't go, you're in contempt. Listen, I'm not the one that implicated her. Someone else did. They brought her into this. I'm only giving you my opinion.
Yeah.
They brought her into this, and the prosecutors want to talk to her.
You dealt with Foxy Brown, right?
Yeah, I dealt with Foxy Brown.
What was the situation about? What was it about?
Well, let me just say this. Her mother, Judith Marchand, is a very nice lady. Her two brothers, Gavin and Ashton, nice guys. Foxy was a little tough.
Really?
I don't want to say too much on her because I know if I see her, I'm going to be like, you said this, you said that. She was very tough to deal with. Let's put it that way. Very tough to deal with.
But what was the situation? There was some sort of robbery, or I'm not sure.
There was a robbery at her house. There was a home invasion. There was a home invasion at the house where some guys apparently got into the house and they committed a robbery. From what I remember, they didn't know who the guys were at first, but I think it was later we found out who possibly the guys were. I don't remember. I can't think right now to go back. I'd have to look and see what the outcome was. But again, her mother is a very sweetheart of a woman. She's a very nice lady. I dealt with her mother, and her mother's a sweetheart. And even Gavin and Ashton, even when I seen Gavin around at clubs or hanging out, he was always a good guy. I always talked to him, joked with him and stuff like that. Ashton I didn't have too much dealings with because he's not like that. But Foxy was tough. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I wish I had your. I know I read it in your book. I just can't think of it. Think of the exact situation. But at a later date, we'll go back to it. Who knows? We'll get back to the situation. But it's funny how Foxy Brown's name has been brought up in the Keefe D situation in his court case right now. He's not on trial at the moment. His trial, as of today, is looking at November.
Well, the prosecutors in Vegas again, they're looking for any and all information and anything that can corroborate them putting Keefe D into the situation where he committed this murder, which they're trying to do a timeline as to who was out there with him. And listen, they have to make their case strong to prosecute him. Basically they're going on more of a hearsay from him giving up saying he was in the car, but they have to corroborate that. They have to corroborate his whereabouts, where he was. Remember, all the guys that were in the car, they were all dead. The only person that's alive is Keefe D. Everybody else was killed by other means.
Right.
So he's the only guy left. And like I said, he went on, my belief with him is that he went on talking about the situations that he was involved with Tupac's murder, thinking that he probably could not be prosecuted for it. Because I can't think of another reason why he would have went on social media and broadcast why he was involved in that murder. The only way I could believe that he might have done that is because he believed that he couldn't be charged with it, because maybe when he had this proffer with the detectives, with the feds, that he was immune from it. Or maybe he did it because he knows that, I guess he knows that his days are coming to an end. Maybe he wanted to make some money out of it. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. You only know from him why he did it. But he did do it, and the prosecutors now are going after him. They want him because they want to close that case. It's it's one of the biggest cases in Las Vegas history. And they want to put that case to bed. And then if they put that case to bed, there's a possibility that the LA County can put this thing with Biggie, which I doubt. I doubt, because that's a much tougher case.
Right. And the people in that situation...
The guy who killed Biggie supposedly is dead too.
Right.
And the problem with that case is because it's gone through so many hands. Remember, when Biggie first got killed, right, in Los Angeles, the first group of detectives were the detectives from the Wilshire Division. No. The responding detectives, or the detectives that had the case, were from the Wilshire Division. The Peterkin Museum was in the Wilshire part of Los Angeles. Those two detectives, Jacksons and Edwards, I know them because I worked with them. I was one of the first guys on the case with them when this first occurred. They came to New York because we had the funeral here. Right. So they spent a week with me in New York, tracking down witnesses, getting composites of people, learning who people were. They were very nice guys. They were black detectives that were a little older, that didn't have a rap 101 playbook. Right. That didn't make them bad guys. It just means they didn't know a lot about the industry itself. I sat with them and gave them a very big course on this music industry and what went on with this East Coast, West Coast war that was going on. I even had to take them out to dinner because they had told me they were reluctant to talk to me at first because there was a detective from Major Case in New York, I won't mention his name right now, who went out to Los Angeles and he wasn't being forthcoming with them. And they felt slighted by how he was withholding information from them. That's why they came here and sat with me, and I took them out to dinner. As a matter of fact, I took them to a black soul food restaurant, and the three of us sat down and talked that night about the case before we started working, because I wanted them to understand that I'm not like everyone else. I'm here to help them, to work with them.
Right.
I like to solve the case like they did, and they were very appreciative of that.
Right. Let me guess, Bill Olden.
Okay, yeah, his name. He was the Major Case guy, since you mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean.
They had a really dislike for him.
Yeah, everything I hear about this guy, he's a fucking dick. Like,
they had a very dislike for this guy, you know? I mean, listen, it is what it is. I didn't go into what the details were. I just was told they didn't trust him. And they didn't trust me at first. So right. I want this to be known that people see this. I wasn't being trusted with these guys either. I had to befriend them, to go and sit with them and talk to them. And to make friends with these guys and tell them, I don't talk to this guy either. Right. So, you know, and then, you know, they had crucial information that they thought that he could have shared with them, and he didn't. But that's his thing, you know?
And that's just for the people, that's the kind of sort of thing that is very common when it comes to cases and different police.
All detectives, although you see them on TV and you see these things all the time, a lot of detectives don't like working with each other. A lot of guys don't like when you come into their territory or work with them. Sometimes you have to prove yourself to certain people to make sure that you're one of the good guys, even to them. And it's hard. It's hard too because people doubt you and they doubt your experience and what you do, which isn't right. But listen, I've been on the job a long time and I know how to get around those things. You know, there are certain people that don't. They're a little thin-skinned. And certain thing bothers them. But you see this all the time. Guys don't work well with one another. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
People, because the normal person watching this, they don't, you know, they're not a police officer. They're not gonna.
No, and then you gotta remember when you do these big high profile cases, everybody wants glory. Yeah, exactly. I didn't really need glory. You understand? I think people knew who I was. So it didn't mean to go out and have to keep proving myself over and over again. I didn't have to do that. They knew who I was.
Right. Okay, going back to the Foxy Brown thing. This is state. I know with the feds, they're a little more aggressive, you know, in getting you to court and getting you on the stand. Is it the same thing with the state? I'm not sure how this works.
The state has the first right of refusal. If someone gets killed in New York State, for example, let's say I'm in Manhattan. Right. Somebody gets killed in Manhattan. Now, it becomes a case that the detectives in Manhattan investigate, and they deal with the prosecutor's office and Manhattan DA's office. Now, the feds could come in and say, hey, look, we have a bigger case going on with that individual. We'd like to take the case. But the state has to be the one to okay it because it's in their jurisdiction. Now, I'm not saying the feds can't come in and say, look, we want this case or fight over it. You see that in Law and Order all the time. So, you know, it's their right of refusal if they don't want to take the case. In some cases, they might let it go because they could get more out of it anyway. It's going to go to the feds and we'll just close it out and get rid of it because they're going to prosecute the guy anyway. Right.
So my question is, they want her to take the stand and testify. Can she avoid it? How's it avoidable?
You can avoid it, but you really can't avoid it for long.
Break it down for me.
All right. If they give you a subpoena and they subpoena you to court, you have to go. If you don't go, you're in contempt. So they can arrest you and bring you into the courthouse. However, I don't think a prosecutor wants to do that because then you have a hostile witness. So they want to have your cooperation, but they will subpoena you. If necessary, they will bring you in. That's the way that works. Now, if it was a federal subpoena, that's a little different. They could jail you. Because in the Jam Master Jay case that I testified in, they brought a lot of people that were sort of reluctant to come in. And the Fed said, you will come in. It's not that you won't, you will come in. And they brought them in to testify.
So again, Foxy Brown, I'm pretty sure she has hotshot lawyers, you know, high price.
I mean, yeah, but there's not much you could do to get around that. You know, listen. I'm not the one that implicated her. Someone else did. They brought her into this. I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yeah. I know.
They brought her into this, and the prosecutors want to talk to her. If need be, they'll subpoena her. You know.
If you were to bet money, let's see how you put in. If you were to bet money, if that the prosecutor, whoever, is gonna get Foxy Brown to testify or to talk when it comes to the Keefe D situation and Tupac's murder, would you put your money on it?
I would say right now, it's 50-50 because either she could go in and testify, or she becomes a hostile witness.
And talk to me. Hostile meaning?
Means that she doesn't want to cooperate. They'll put her on the stand and have her say something, and she'll say, "I take the fifth. I'm not talking."
And then what happens from there?
Then they could either hold her in contempt, or they can let it go. Now, being that this is a high-profile case, I don't know if the prosecutors want to do that. I don't know if they want to make that. I don't think they want to interject that into the case and make it a bigger problem. It's going to be interesting to see what they have. Maybe they have somebody else. Maybe they have other witnesses that they already talked to bring in. So that could happen as well. So we have to wait and see. Everything is a wait and see right now.
Right. But I had to ask, because you're the expert.
No, that's fine.